A splendid morning to you on this Independence Day. This is Newsline. We're not live today, but everything else is live. And we are today celebrating 72 years of independence, which we got way back in 1948. Well, to look at how truly independent Sri Lanka is 72 years later, and looking at it from the perspective of you, the public, we've got with us here Professor K.D. Paranavitana, who is, of course, who was at the Rajarata University of Sri Lanka, and also for 12 years he was the archivist for a president that we all know, President J.R. Jayawardena. Anyway, he's got lots of things that he can tell us, and I thought we'd share that thought process and that information, the wealth of information that the professor has there. Well, hello there, Professor, and welcome to Newsline.
Thank you.
Professor, how independent is Sri Lanka today?
Independence, we have to discuss about the real meaning of independence. The independence is, for the moment, people think that getting freedom from the colonial ties is independence. That is not so. We have to find our own way of interpretation in independence. That means that if we are really independent, we have to think freely, and we have to work freely, and that is something which is now questionable.
Which part? Talking freely or thinking freely, or both? Both. Why are people frightened? Why do you say that? Why about talking freely, for example?
When a parliament is elected members, they are all giving lot of promises.
Mm-hmm.
And when they become MPs or the ministers or whatever it is, the problem is that they usually tend to forget about what they said at the beginning, and going on a different direction, and certain aspects are also hiding. You know, it's people can't believe that it is true, really true.
Because it's so
complicated.
So complicated, so complex.
Complex, yeah. That is, I think, suitable word.
That's the right word.
Yeah.
So complex, right.
Complex, because we can't really understand what they say and what they act, really in the normal life.
Because it's two things.
Yeah.
Because they say one thing, especially when they are in the election platform.
Yeah.
They say one thing.
Yeah.
And then when they are in parliament, after they've won, they're saying something else.
Something else. Even very quickly they tend to change their policies, and very quickly, and their way of thinking is getting changed. So it's not stable.
And that translates into action as well.
Yeah. That affects the thinking, way of thinking of the whole nation.
So the whole nation is becoming indecisive. Is that what you're saying?
Indecisive. And also people have no confidence about anybody because of that reason, this complexity.
So, but they say that in this world of complexities, simple things become realities. So what are the simple things that we want to become realities?
Yeah, there are. Now we have to face natural disasters like things, and we can think about what the nature gives to us. Now, for example, we got a lot of rain a couple of months ago, and the whole entire capacity of water flown to the sea. And we could have easily stopped flowing it to the sea.
By doing what?
By renovating the network of
Tanks.
that they are silted and they are not functioning properly, and during the Dutch times they started inland water transport system. That is a possibility, and they improved from Puttalam to river NEWSLINE Mathur, internal waterway system that could have been improved very well in the past.
So where does independence or being independent and remaining independent, how does that impact on what you're saying, on the hardships of the people?
Yeah, when you say independence, people think that we can do anything, whatever we think.
Without working.
Without working. It's full of voice box. Voice, and
Voice,
no
and
action.
more voice.
No
Right.
action. Action also somewhat problematic. It's very
Right.
difficult to think what the authorities are going to do and what they are planning to do. Very difficult to predict.
Mm-hmm.
That affects the whole nation, way of thinking of the whole nation, all countrymen.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the people can only be truly independent if the legislature, their leaders, their political leaders, deliver various matters that will make the people independent. Is that what you're saying?
Well, this is also a kind of problem that what was your question?
But my question is, can the people think that and feel independent only if the government of the day delivers various things, like a life, like say the cost of living should be affordable to the people.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they can't be independent.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
and actually, the plans or the policies that are going to be implemented are not well explained to the people, and also some people always tend to think that there's something hiding behind it. Hiding behind it. So that is not a good phenomena to have in this situation.
So the people are suspicious.
Suspicious, and they lost their confidence on their administrators.
Mm-hmm. But what do you think made the people suspicious then?
Because unstable statements. Statements are very often very difficult to believe. Actually, they are coming into truth. Realize them very well.
Mm-hmm.
So that affects the whole administrative system as well as the general public, in one way or the other.
Right. So, how does one correct that situation?
Well, the administrators and the MPs of Parliament, and they should be exemplary to others. Once they say one thing and later they themselves change their statements and come to certain decisions. I am not going to specify, but
No.
that is the reason. Their way of thinking is not stable. As an intellectual, I think that's not very good for the country.
So a lack of stability of policy.
Yeah.
Is you're bemoaning that, the lack of it.
Yeah, I think we are lacking that very much.
The stability of policy.
Stability comes with the confidence. If you want to make a statement, it should be a stable statement.
It should be well thought about,
about.
And then you need to stand by it.
Yeah.
That happens here, within our group. There is a consistency in policy.
That is something important.
Yes,
Consistency in policy.
We have that consistency here in our group,
Yeah.
in our company.
Yeah, but consistency is not well seen in the general administration
Of the state.
of the state. Yeah.
Right. And what do you say, Professor, when you people say, well, we are independent now and we have all this wonderful trade and so on with different countries.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the hard facts, for example,
Yeah.
a big chunk of Hambantota
Yeah.
has been given. Okay, it's on a lease, but you might as well have just given it because it's 99 years.
99 years,
It's
yeah.
well beyond the average life expectancy in this country, right? So it's 99 years. They've given it, really.
Yeah.
They say we got paid for it, but the loan is still outstanding. So many things like that.
Yeah.
Then we have Port City, which is, again, it doesn't belong entirely to us.
Yeah.
And then you have so many companies do business here, on government to government sometimes and so on. But again, Sri Lanka doesn't have the ultimate say when we look at our energy security.
Yeah.
For example, we are sort of dependent on foreign expertise and foreign everything. We're dependent on it.
Yeah.
Even in the coal power station, for a while there was a big unhappiness, uneasiness, that the Chinese wanted to manage the plant.
Yeah.
Well, we've got engineers here, and they could be trained in running a coal power plant, and then they must hand it over to our people to run it.
Yeah.
But instead they were fighting over this is some years ago, but I'm telling you, historic.
That is what has happened in the past, The development is not functioning very well. Development plans and things like that are not functioning very well. And as you said, it is difficult to predict what they say, what they do and what they say.
Do you get the feeling that not just one government, since 1948, do you get the feeling that sometimes they, if the wickets are here and the bowler is bowling to these wickets, suddenly the bowler is bowling and the wickets have been moved here. So they've shifted the goalposts. Do you get the feeling sometimes that happens?
Yeah, that happens, and that is
what is that? Is that part of the the system that we have to get used to?
that has been, we have got used to it. I mean, as a state, we have got used to that kind of situation from the very beginning and downwards to up to today. And it's very difficult to predict what is going to happen and what is actually happening inside the administrative situation.
We found that, there are all sorts of things. We had a sort of JVP inspired couple of attempts, sort of sabotage. Then we had, famously or infamously, we had the LTT. All this meant that we were fighting to maintain our independence, our sovereignty. And so 72 years later, when we see all this, do you think it makes the people, the majority of the people, more sad than happy?
People are sad actually than happy because a lot of lives were lost and lots of properties were lost, and people think it's very sad. But as a whole, what I see is entire situation is that we are not concerning our own wealth, we are not confident in our own properties, and we are not we go for even a very tiny thing to import them. You know, we have to we have to depend on all kinds of very trivial things, even very minor things that we are consuming. Even small things we tend to import them. That means we have lost our confidence on our own people. So if for example, if our doctors are very capable of doing certain things that we are looking for, to go abroad for treatment, still that is, you know, it's very administrators should be exemplary to the others. That is something lacking after the independence the whole time.
Is that a lack of pride in our own product, our Sri Lanka?
That is correct. That is correct. We think that what we produce are underestimated always, and that is
How does one inspire pride in the nation?
by producing as much as possible within the country itself. So that people know that we have to build up a kind of confidence on the people that our products are very well done and we are equal to the other foreign goods.
Because if you go into any large store in the West, or let's say in the United States,
Yeah.
And if you go into the clothing section, you can quite often, if you pick 10 items and just with your blindfold on and take it and look at the label, it out of 10, maybe at least more than half will have the label that says made in Sri Lanka. So if our products are good for the export market, why is it not good for us then?
Yeah.
Is that the question? Is that the question?
That is something usually happened in our country.
Yeah. I want to ask you, you know, because you're a specialist in the Portuguese Dutch period, and also you're a specialist on JR. I'm going to ask you another question about him, but first of all, about the Portuguese Dutch period. During that period, how come the king at that time, did he get good support from the people or he didn't?
Yeah, but the entire social fabric was made of three kind of groups. One was the king and his family members and the relatives.
Right.
Then the elites.
Yeah.
Elites is a separate group which always had conflicts with the royalty. And the third is the religious priests and religious ecclesiastical order.
Yes.
Ecclesiastical
The
order.
various religions.
The various religions.
Yeah.
And those three had to be balanced within that colonial period.
Right.
Sometimes some strata comes up and sometimes goes down. Then even the king was overlooked by other groups of people. And also when the king is more powerful, he behaves like a dictator, and then people reject him. And when the elites do not get their what was expected, then they go against the king, and conspiracies taken place in several times. You know, during the King Rajasingha's time, there was a conspiracy in Nilambe.
Yeah.
Nilambe is a local residence of the king, and that was overcome by his power, and there was some other conspiracies even to kill the king by putting him into a hiding pit, putting him to that also all unsuccessful. But one thing that we can think is that elites always trying to get maximize their power as much as possible. That is what is happening even today. Elites or the privileged group of the people in the society trying to get more privileges by various means. So that is not very pleasant situation in the country.
Is it a situation that so it was the elite who wanted to perpetuate their hold? Is that why they sort of sided with the Portuguese and later the Dutch,
Yeah.
to the detriment of the king?
Yeah, that's the thing. That they wanted to, then right throughout the 17th, 18th centuries, what they did was to increase their authority or increase their power by various means, you know. If they fail, the moment that they fail, they do a conspiracy and then try to pull down the kingship.
King. So basically the same thing is happening now in Parliament. If one party doesn't give them something, they thanks to Sarat Silva, they can go on to the other side now.
Yeah, that is the worst situation here.
So actually nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. History repeats.
History is repeating itself.
Repeating itself. One way or the other, it is repeating.
What do you feel? How do you feel as a person who's lived in Sri Lanka for so long, and this is the land of your birth? What do you feel?
I feel Sri Lanka is the best country in the world to live.
Despite all of this?
Despite all that, I was in Australia for 4 years for my PhD, and despite all the problems that in the country, we came back residing without going abroad.
Right.
So that is my own experience. So Sri Lanka is a wonderful country.
Yes, but are you happy to live in this Sri Lanka with certain damaging elements of independence?
Yeah, my generation is so that in the future people think more to go out of the country.
Right.
In search of facilities. And
do you have grandchildren?
Yeah.
Would you like them to stay here, or would you advise them to go abroad?
We can't make them to stay here because of various facilities. And now, for example, if you want to enter a child to a school, what a lot of problems that we have.
You have to take a little bit of money.
So that is not only money, but various other aspects also looked into that.
Oh, okay. I thought it was only money.
Not only money.
Okay.
Political power also involved in that.
I see.
To a certain extent.
So everything, even the simple exercise of putting a child into school is politicized and corrupt too.
Yes. That I don't know how that problem can be solved, but it continues. According to the media, I have no personal experience. My children were admitted to the school without any problem at that time. Now my grandchildren are finding difficult to go to school, admit to a school.
We're in our last minute of the program, so I'm going to ask you this: what would you like in the final sort of years of your life, after playing such a dynamic role, including serving for 12 years as President Jayawardene as archivist and all that, what would you like as a citizen of Sri Lanka, what would you like to see change the most to help maintain a real independence in this country?
Real independence is something lacking, as I said at the very beginning. Although we think that we are an independent country, we have some restrictions in leading our lives. For example, admitting a child to school and going to a public hospital and things like that are very difficult. But we think that despite all that kind of problems, we have to live in this country as the older generation, but I think younger generation might take their own decision.
Is that a hope? Is that a wish?
Not the wish, but I hope that it will happen.
That the younger will come?
Yeah, youngers are very keen in going overseas.
Oh. How do we stop that?
It's something difficult to stop that. But making...
what about if we select new leaders? New faces?
That will be some kind of solution to that.
Right.
But that leadership has to be exemplary to others.
So they have to live by what they are saying?
Yeah. Stick to the statements, stick to the policies and do whatever possible for the country as a whole.
So they need to walk the talk, as they say?
Yeah. They should walk then talk.
They should walk then talk?
Yeah.
Professor, thank you very much for being on Newsline.
Yeah, thank you.
And I suppose I should wish you a happy Independence Day. And I hope that in this coming year, the people's aspirations and the people's hopes will be listened to and acted upon more than in the last 72 years. Is that a good wish?
Yeah, that's a good wish. Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add?
No, nothing.
So let's say Jai Veva then, no?
Jai Veva.
Indeed.
So
Jai Veva.
nothing but we can say Jai Veva because we can't go beyond that.
Indeed.
We are helpless actually.
But we'll fly the flag.
Yeah, we fly the flag, yes.
Yes. And hope for the best.
Yeah, hope for the best.
And have faith in God above. How's that? Think it's a good idea to have faith in God?
Yes, that also good.
Will help.
Will help.
There you go. That's the way it was on Newsline. Take care and have a wonderful day of independence. Savor it, cherish it, respect it. Take care. God bless.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.